Martin, to regroup, work on a few things before Everton away?
Yeah, I think it's really important that you get a couple of days away to mentally and physically relax. You're away from each other. They've been in and out of each other's pockets for weeks on end. A shopping list full of matches. The manager will demand, and he sets the standards, and that's right and proper. But they'll go again, and I do feel just a break now is needed. They've just hung on long enough to stay. It's over to City, really, over to Villa, to see what they're capable of this weekend.
How do you think that will change the mindset of City and Villa going into their games after seeing that performance from Arsenal tonight?
Yeah, they weren't at their best, and I think they were probably hoping Arsenal would slip up. In the end they didn't. They found a way to win the game, which is the most important thing. There's no pictures on the trophy, Lindsay, at the end of the season. You just got to get your name on it, and that gives them an opportunity to do that. But I think Manchester City and Aston Villa are right there. But I think Mikel, no, they weren't at their best today. They didn't have that urgency, and even at the end when it was, they didn't really get out. They invited almost Wolves to come on to them, and he won't want that. They need to be braver and get out and put pressure, not allow teams to come to the Emirates and play. But league table still looks really good for
Arsenal. It certainly does, and so does their home form as well. Another win at home, Martin. 4 as well of their next 6 games are at home, which will give them a massive lift as well.
Yeah, but you're just striving for perfection, and it's like I think they've sat in a little bit. Maybe they sat in a little bit at Sunderland. Maybe they sat in a bit at Aston Villa, and clearly they sat in here. And you invite that pressure on. And the pressure mounts, the opposition get opportunities, and I think that's something they won't do again. You've got to go and press that ball and don't invite people on, and it made it difficult for themselves, but they still found a way to win.
Like that from your old teammate, he's honest. He said, look, we looked passive, but you cross this one off and you think about the Hill Dickinson and move on.
Yeah, I really like how honest you guys then analysing that. I think, that was clear what we saw tonight. Wolves frustrated Arsenal. They sat in a low block and really made it difficult at times, but these are the games that you need to win if you're going to go on to win the Premier League. So they found a way in the end, which is really encouraging, but they'll have to learn from their reaction after conceded that goal. Like Mikel just said then, they went, they start to drop off, get deeper and deeper, and then inviting that pressure on them. So it's a bit self-inflicted, but there'll be things to learn, but pleasing that they got the 3 points in the end.
They found a way, Tim. That's all that's mattered tonight, isn't it?
That's right. The best teams find a way and the champions find a way. So they're yet to be champions, but I think they're champions in waiting for me.
Well, I know the important thing will be the 3 points, but how do you reflect on your team's performance?
Yeah, it is at the end of the day, but we knew that it was going to be a tough match, especially if we wouldn't manage to score early in the game. We had a lot of situations in the first half. One massive big chance of Guy Martinelli 2 yards out, totally free. We don't score. But we struggled once we arrived into those danger zones to pick a red shirt in the box, that we had many situations. And then we don't generate that many clear chances. In the second half, we did that a bit better, scored the goal, but then we had a period of 3 minutes in deep, so passive, really poor defensive habits. Not acceptable for our level, because we haven't conceded a single shot till that point. The first time they do it, they score a goal. And that's the Premier League, and we need to be very, very much aware of that and improve that, because at the end, you rely on an individual action, a very chaotic action to score the goal and win the game, and the margins should have been bigger.
On Wolverhampton, they worked so hard. They've sat in 2 very deep rows to defend against your team. Were you surprised that you weren't able to create more?
Well, we created a lot of situation without picking the right player in the final pass. The amount of situation we have an overload in the box and we hit the first man. It's not the standards that we need to generate more. But I wasn't surprised. I was a game against Chelsea, Stamford Bridge. What they did against Villa, how unlucky they were not to get a result there. So I was expecting that if we didn't manage to score early, that we were going to have to suffer.
Come the end of the season, performances like today in games you should win will become all that more important. How much of a mental boost does it give you that you didn't give up and you can go and score a last-minute winner?
Yeah, and that gives you belief that regardless how the game goes, that you can always find a solution to win it. But now we're going to have a clean week. We need to start to train certain aspects that is slowly, because you don't train them. You start to deteriorate a little bit, and then we go again, because in the Christmas period we know what happens.
Good minutes for Gyökeres tonight, but you score your goals from 2 own goals. How much of it is him needing to do a little bit more, and how much of it is the team finding ways to create him chances to score?
It's a collaboration between the two. He was in a lot of really good position, and the ball didn't get into the area quick enough, sharp enough, or just with the precision that is required for a 9 to score the goal. But his work rate and intentions were there, and we need to keep insisting.
I know it's good to have players returning from illness, from injury. Ben White went off early in the game. How is he?
We don't know. I think he felt something in his hamstring. We'll have to wait and see the extent of that injury. So yeah, no good news in that sense.
Mikael, congratulations. Bukayo made it difficult today, but 2 great bits of quality for you. Sometimes you just need that bit of luck, don't you?
Yeah, sometimes you need it, and today it went our way, so we'll take the points and move forward.
With title-winning teams, sometimes it comes down to days like today where you've had to work hard against a team who dug in deep to try and hold on to a point. But games like this might get you over the line in May, mightn't they?
Yeah, maybe. We won't know until May, but we can be happy tonight that we left with 3 points, despite the performance and despite how the game went,
9 consecutive home wins in this place. How important is it that teams know that coming here is going to be a difficult day for them?
Yeah, that's the objective of ours, coming to the Emirates. We want to make the teams know that they're at the Emirates. We want to make them know that it's going to be tough here. It's not going to be an easy day, and so far we've done that.
Played against a team for a lot of today. It was attack v defence. How did you manage staying patient to create those openings?
Yeah, it was frustrating at times, we'll be honest, but the message was for the boys was to stay patient and to keep moving the ball, keep trying things, keep shooting, keep taking risks, and in the end we got our reward.
A good week, bounce back after the weekend. Morale must be high within the group right now, mustn't it?
Yeah, it's high, and we've got a break now until next week, so obviously we can reflect on the past few performances and be ready to go again next week.
Going into that break, 5 points clear at the top, over to City now, isn't it?
Yeah, you said it well.
Bukayo, well done, you're today's player of the match. Enjoy. Cheers, thank you.
Thank you very much to Liam. Yes, over to Manchester City, who travel to Palace. Also, of course, Aston Villa as well. And it is a huge victory for them in the context of the title race. But Martin, tonight, certainly a performance to forget. Yeah,
you wouldn't want to be playing like that too often if you want to be champions. And every team that's prospective champions will have a game like that. We saw Man City at Fulham recently, didn't we? Only win the game 5-4, so it can happen to anybody. Look, when you're playing the bottom league team, I don't think it was complacency. I think they set out. I think we have to give Wolves credit, and then Arsenal sort of played themselves into a hole, and they didn't really create. It wasn't the creativity that you'd expect, and in the end, it became lucky Arsenal again. And it's nice, if you want to be champions, you have to be lucky. Any team I've ever been successful in has been lucky at some point, and Arsenal can breathe a sigh of relief tonight that they've got through one here. A really difficult game for them.
Unlucky for Wolves, though, Owen, on a night where Arsenal's luck was in. Sometimes when you're down at the bottom in that position, the luck just goes against you.
Yeah, I mean, they were unlucky. They were very unfortunate. You see here, the ball from Declan Rice. This is just before that corner. Saka's just offside, and the linesman doesn't put his flag up, even though he's probably right there. And
is it an offside offence, though? That's what they're looking at.
Well, of course it is. He's offside. He goes towards the ball. I mean, that he doesn't touch it. But this is what leads to the corner and ultimately the goal. And it is unfortunate for Wolves. And Sam Johnson, up to that point, he had made a couple saves. You see Timber, they love to overload this back post there. And I think
Chatchua, is it?
Chatchua, he had literally just come on 30 seconds earlier and probably just bumped Sam Johnson a fraction. It probably affects him in the way he tries to push that over the bar. Again, tiny little things that all add up in the game. But they were a little bit unfortunate there, Wolves.
And you feel hugely at this point for Sam Johnson, Martin, because just before that he'd made 2 wonderful saves to keep his side in it.
And dare I say it, he was looking like man of the match.
But not Martin Ødegaard.
No. But no, look, he's gone. He was at that point. He was playing exceptionally well, and those things happen. I felt he should have perhaps dealt with it a little bit easier. It wasn't enough of a bump, I don't think. And at that point, we're thinking, okay, 1-0 to the Arsenal, and this is going to be very lucky. But suddenly, Wolves come right back into it.
What did you think, Owen, of the way they fought back after going down, and then get that equaliser through Tolu Orekadaru?
Do you know what? It was a great goal for them. One thing I would say is Arsenal really dropped off. They didn't put any pressure on Wolves, who are bottom. Look, there's no pressure on this cross here. Mane whips a great ball, and Alcantara was with a great header.
It was very odd.
And the thing, look how deep Arsenal, they never got out for about 10 minutes. Wolves had possession, and I think Mikel will probably be a note that they've got to get out, put pressure on the ball. It's a good ball in, but there's no pressure. Everybody's just ball watching, and I think the striker does brilliant. He stands in front of the defender, Hincapia, gets a flick on it, and it was actually a really good goal from Wolves.
Alcadora, yeah, very good finish. He looked good actually when he came on.
Really
He
good.
seemed to improve them. What I couldn't quite understand, I was thinking of going out and shouting at the players myself to go and press the ball high up the pitch, because Arsenal seemed quite happy to sit and defend on the edge of their own box.
I don't think
And
they
it was
can afford to
inviting-
hang on. They can't
No,
hang on like that.
It was inviting Wolves on, and it just had that feeling that they were going to score, and in the end they did.
At that point, Martin, did you feel the title race slipping away?
Well, I said to you, I think the whole title is on this game, because the commotion around, the noise around, there's a lot of feeling. You won't feel it because you don't support Arsenal, but if you support Arsenal, there's a lot of feeling against the club, and it's kind of like they wouldn't want to trip up in this one, because it would be the ultimate trip up. You're playing the bottom team in the table. We've only got 2 points, so it was really important that Arsenal responded, and we thought it was Jesus, but in the end it was another own goal that gets Arsenal out of jail.
It was more bad luck for Wolves and Mosquera this time, Owen, and you could see just how devastated he was when this went in.
Yeah, but to be fair, the only player that really created anything today was Saka. He was the one player that probably played to his natural level. I think they made a change after that wing-back. Muller-Wolfer came off. There's no pressure on the ball. And Mosquera, he was actually unfortunate as well, because he defended brilliantly all game and just comes off his head. But again, no pressure on the cross.
I think it's Jesus' movement, though, that ultimately the defender gets unlucky, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And Jesus doesn't get the touch, but it's definitely his run and movement. And that is food for thought for the manager.
He looked good, didn't he?
He looked good when he came on. Yoker is still not at the fitness level you'd expect. And there's a real tussle now for who's going to be that number 9. And Jesus has put himself right back in there.
What do you think the debrief inside that Arsenal dressing room now? Will it be relief, or will there be a lot of discussions going on about the way they played tonight?
I don't think the manager would be too tough on them, but it's a reminder that they've got to do more and they can't be complacent. I don't know if it was complacency. You're playing against the bottom team. Do you turn up here and think, OK, we've only got to turn up and win? The messages from the manager to the players. There was a lot of passing going astray in that first half. It wasn't the Arsenal that we expected. They looked like strangers at one stage. But in the end, they find the win, and that's the most important thing. So they build for the next one.
And the most, he stood up.
And Tim, how important when you're not playing at your best to still be picking up points in this race?
Yeah, win ugly, is what you look for, and that's very ugly tonight, wasn't it? At the beginning of the game, I certainly felt that it was going to be a lot more comfortable than they actually turned out, but they struggled. They really did. They had to make some changes. They made three or four changes off the bench to try and turn the game in the favour. But one player you never bring off is the game changer and a difference maker, and that is Bukayo Saka. Always stands up and he always sticks his chest out and says, "I'm going to be the man to make the difference here," and he's done on 2 separate occasions there tonight.
He did make the difference. Should they've had the corner for the first goal? When we look at that, I mean, we won't know. Sort of forensically looking at this, it looks like he might be off there, Tim.
Difficult decision for the linesman to make. I think there's inches. I mean, look, if it goes to VAR, then it's possibly that he's just offside, but very difficult for the naked eye to be able to see that.
Yeah, obviously they wouldn't go to VAR in that situation because that phase doesn't end in the goal, but he puts the delivery in, Aaron, and it causes Sam Johnstone all sorts of problems.
Yeah, I know he gets caught under a little bit there, doesn't he? And then there's a little bit of traffic around him. Maybe, he could have got a little touch on it, but yeah, it's unfortunate for him that he's bounced off the pin. But you'll take that as an Arsenal fan, yeah.
How do you pick the bones out of that as a manager?
He's got to do better, the goalkeeper. Has to do better. I think he's played well tonight, but he's just switched off. I think he's surprised that there's no one on him, because normally they've got players all around him, and all of a sudden he looks for someone, and then by the time he's looking for someone to come into him, the ball's going on over his head, and he can't move his feet quick enough to get himself back on it. But it's a real shame for him. If you just look at him, if we just go back a bit, I mean, you see him like he looks at someone as they come, and the ball's. It's a fantastic delivery, and if he doesn't dive, he gets headed off the line probably from the defender at the back post. But the delivery is fantastic. We saw Emirates do that for Newcastle, didn't we, last week, was it? You know, so some of these players now, they're trying to score at the back post. They really are. They're clearing the area out. And defenders have to get on their post and help the goalkeeper out.
11 set-piece goals for Arsenal this season, 9 of them from corners. They've done it again.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a sort of big asset to have in your game, isn't it? It's like once things are not quite going your way, and you've got that to fall back on, you know, there was a few chances in the first half as well which could have gone their way. But yeah, they've been fantastic from that. And there's a sort of anticipation now every time that Arsenal take it or have a set piece with a throw in or a corner. There's everybody's on the edge of their seats now in the stadium sort of thing. But yes, it's an asset, and they're taking full advantage of that.
Well, Aaron Ramsey was on the edge of his seat when went 1-0 down. But how do you think, Tim, Arsenal managed it in front towards the end of that game?
Not very well. I mean, we're in December, you know, and they got edgy. They got nervous. We haven't started yet. You're not even in the. I've been there myself. We know what it's like. Become March, April. If they're doing that now in December and sitting back, there's no. Mikel's not telling them to drop off, but we saw it coming. 5-10 minutes before, we said, why are they dropping so deep? Why not playing on the front foot again? And why are they not closing people down? And that's how the goal. Look at Declan Rice, get to the ball. Odegaard, get to the ball. You got Marino into the box there, marking no one with his hands on his head there when the ball goes into the net. You see it here. Everyone decides to get behind. We just protect what we have. They were never in the game, really. The only way they're ever going to get in the game is by lumping balls into your box and competing. We saw it with Sunderland, didn't we? When they come back, when they scored that very late goal. Get out to the ball and put pressure on. Because even though they're not having a good season of it, they've got talented players who can play. When they got that sort of time, if you're a professional footballer, you can stick that on the money. And that's a great delivery and a wonderful finish. Too nervy for me, Will. If they're that nervous at this present moment in time, we're not even carved the turkey. You know, by the time the Easter eggs are out in April, they're going to be panic stations. That is when it counts. And they haven't done it before. And they're going to listen to the outside noise. They're going to bottle it again. They're going to this, all this. But what they showed when they were 1-0 up, they have to try and get it out of them. But the good thing is, Mikel can use that now on the back of a positive result and show them, just saying, why are you dropping so deep? You cannot do this again. Learn from it. And I think they're capable of doing that because the manager is so astute.
You agree with that, Mr. Ramsey?
Yeah, it's just time and things. So it's so hard to win a Premier League. It's so hard, and you can't afford to slip up in in these situations. And hopefully now they'll use that to their advantage. So if this does happen again, they've got that to fall back on. That we've been here before, guys. We can come back and still get a result here.
And just as I was making you a cup of tea, Aaron, I said there's another goal in this one. Not over yet. 6 minutes on the board. I thought get that one in there, Tim. Got out of jail, didn't they, in the end?
Yeah, they did. Listen, there's no question about it. But obviously they have the belief that they can always score. And yes, it's taken another action. What I like here is that they had 4 against 3 at the far stick, in the box here as well. So they had willing runners to run across their men, and this is why they scored that goal, because otherwise he has a free header, he headers it away, and that's that. But they got across their men, got in front of them, caused a bit of disruption there. Great ball in from Saka again, coming in on his left, and there we go. You get your rewards for the work that you put in.
What's that down to, Tim, from a Wolves point of view, so late on there? They looked absolutely flawed, didn't they, at the end, those Wolves players?
They did, they give everything. I just think it's a bit of a real quality from Bukayo Saka, and a great run. Jesus. For me, I think that never gets ruled out unless we have replays on VAR. And listen, I've scored a load of them goals, or a couple, and no one ever looks at it again. For me, he's got to style that out. He's got to wheel away. I mean, it would take some analysing to take that off him. I mean, it looked through all the money in the world that it was Jesus' goal, but he didn't want to celebrate because he knows we're going to scrutinise it and tell it was an OG. But I'm sure you scored a few as well, which...
you take anything, you claim anything.
Oh, look at that.
I'll be off with the top off everything then.
Of course. I mean, it just looked, didn't it? It just, like this one, when you slow it down, you see it comes off the side of the face there.
Yeah.
But
Oh, look, Gabriel Jesus obviously involved in there and causing all sorts of problems. Aaron, you've been out for so long with an injuries, and he has as well. I mean, he played obviously in the Champions League, didn't he, midweek, but 11 months out. How good to see him back and smiling on a football pitch.
Yeah, it's obviously brilliant. I know probably, the amount of work that he's had to put in to get back to where he is now. All them hard sort of hours, repetitions that you've been doing in the gym that nobody sees, but mentally really challenging, and all the hard work now is paying off again because he's come back, he's played midweek, and now he's come and made an impact again tonight. So it's great to see him back. He has so much quality, and he's got a threat there, a different threat to the players and type of players that Arsenal have got, and he's got the experience as well of getting the job done. So he'll be a big asset towards the second half of the season now for Arsenal.
So look, for now, briefly, they can put their feet up, Arsenal, watch Manchester City, see how they go on at Selhurst Park tomorrow. But when they look at their own fixtures that come, as you know, both too well, you two, they come thick and fast, don't they? And Arsenal's games over the festive period, how crucial is this particular period up until what we can see there with Liverpool on the 8th of Jan?
Yeah, you can't win it now, but you can certainly put yourself out of it. I think they're in it, that's for sure, for the long haul. I'd liked what I've seen from Arsenal this season.
They're still your favourites?
Yeah, I don't like... that's very fresh in my mind, that game, and I don't like what I saw, to be perfectly honest. Even though they win the game, I just didn't like them. They were very nervy, Will, and I was just a little bit worried for them. Like I say, we're talking about December. It's going to get edgy and more anxious. And if they start showing that anxiety on the pitch, it will breed to the stands, and then it takes a brave man to go and play in that environment. They have, because everyone's waiting for them to foul. Everyone's waiting for them to bottle it. That's what they've been labelled with. I'm not. I hope they go and win the league. I really do. I want someone different to win the league. I think they're capable of doing it. I think Mikel's a fantastic manager. I think they've got a great squad.
Your old team, Villa, could win the league, Tim.
Yeah, may not have the strength in depth, but then they will get edgy for them as well. The only team who won't get edgy is one team who's been there and done it many, many times, and they're the team chasing them at the moment, Man City.
Yeah.